good morning, all. Good morning, respected principal, sir, coordinator, sir, of SIP, respected HODs of various departments, and faculties, and dear students. So, we are on the second phase of the student induction program for the first year students 2021 batch. So, with that, we are on the last day of student induction program, and the today's session will be on artificial intelligence. So, you would be knowing about how much applications nowadays we are having with respect to the artificial intelligence, and that is going to be explained by uh, Rajeshwari ma'am, assistant professor, Department of ISC of our esteemed institution. Ma'am, I request you to take the session, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you, sir. Am I audible? Yeah. Shall I start?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Good morning, one and all present here.
Ma'am, you can.
Since
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
is my screen is visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, one and all present here. Since I belong to the Department of Information Science and Engineering, I would like to utilize this opportunity to share a few information on one of the booming technologies of computer science, that is AI, that is artificial intelligence. The COVID-19 pandemic has a huge effect on almost all domains in industries, but the impact of AI has not gone down. The use of AI is at its peak during even lockdown period. So AI is one of the growing domains that is ruling the market and going to a whole next level in the market. However, what is AI all about is something that we all have been curious about. So, to give you an insight on AI, here I have included few topics as a part of my presentation. So, let me discuss on what is AI, why we need AI, what are the different goals of AI, and what are the different factors or the different areas or technologies used while developing the intelligence, and the advantages and disadvantages of AI, applications, and the future impact of the artificial intelligence technologies, both positive and the negative impact on the world. Then later at the last, I would like to conclude that. Okay. So, coming to the definition of an artificial intelligence, basically this domain composed of two words. One is artificial, second one is intelligence, where artificial defines man-made and intelligent defines thinking power. Hence, AI means a man-made thinking power. Can I call AI as a man-made thinking power? So, we can define formally the AI as it is a branch of computer science by which we can concentrate intelligent machines which can behave like a human, think like human, and able to make decisions. Hence, the artificial intelligence exists when a machine can have human-based skills such as learning, reasoning, and solving problems. With the artificial intelligence, you do not need to pre-program a machine to do some task. Despite, you can create a machine with programmed algorithms which can work with own intelligence, and which is the awesomeness of AI. Now we will discuss the Next topic, why you need an artificial intelligence. Why artificial intelligence? Before learning about the artificial intelligence, we should know that what is the importance of AI and why should we learn it. These are the some of the reasons to learn about AI. With the help of an AI, you can create software as well as the hardware device which can solve real world problems very easily and with the highest accuracy to solve the different issues in various sectors like health, marketing, and the traffic, and so on and so forth. The next reason or why you need artificial intelligence is you can also, with the help of an AI, you can also create the personal virtual assistant such as Cortana. Basically, Cortana is a virtual assistant developed by the Microsoft, which uses the Bing search engine to perform tasks such as setting reminders and answering questions for the user. One of the famous personal virtual assistant is the Google Assistant. It is an artificial intelligence powered virtual assistant and it is developed by Google. It is mainly available for mobile and the smart home devices. Then the next example, if I want to give Siri from Apple, it is mainly used for speak recognition engine. And you can also, with the help of an AI, you can also create or you can also build the robots which can work in an environment where survival of humans can be at risk. AI opens a path for other new technologies like augmented reality, new devices like the smart cameras and the new opportunities, the various opportunity it will arise. These are the different reasons why you need to know about the artificial intelligence. In the next slide, we will discuss about what are the different main goals of artificial intelligence. So these are the main goals of artificial intelligence. Usually the artificial intelligence attempt to replicate or simulate human intelligence in machine. So machines can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. For example, proving the theorem, or if I want to play a chess, or if I want to plan something, then or if I want to if I want to plan some surgical operation, or if I want to drive a car in a traffic, these are all the different areas where you can make use of the artificial intelligence. Then by using the artificial intelligence, you can create some system which can exhibit intelligent behavior and it has the capacity to learn new things by itself, and it also has the capacity to demonstrate, explain, and can always give advice to its user. So these are the different goals of an artificial intelligence. Next, we will discuss what comprises to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not just a part of computer science. Even it is so vast and it requires lots of other factors which can contribute to it. To create the AI, first we should know that how intelligence is composed of. So the intelligence is an intangible part of our brain, which is a combination of reasoning, learning, problem solving, perception, language understanding, and so on. To achieve the above factors like reasoning, learning, problem solving, perception, language understanding, for a machine or a software, artificial intelligence requires the following disciplines along with the in order to support or in order to develop the artificial intelligence. The following disciplines are mathematics, biology, psychology, sociology, computer science, neuro study, and the statistics. Therefore, the AI technology or the you can compose the artificial intelligence by considering the various discipline along with the artificial intelligence or along with the computer science theory. Next, we will discuss what are the different advantages of an artificial intelligence. Here, coming to the advantage, it has so many advantages. Out of the different number of advantages, I have considered some of the main advantages of artificial intelligence. Usually, the man or the human are makes most of the time they will make errors or mistakes. Therefore, if with a proper algorithm, a computer do not make mistake if you program properly or if you have a very good algorithm with the artificial intelligence, you can the computer does not make any mistakes most of the time, and it will if you incorporate or if you inculcate artificial intelligence to the system machine's brain, then it will help you to take the decisions from the previously gathered information, and these information if we apply to some set of algorithm, then it is very easy to take some decisions on a problem. So errors are reduced and chance of reaching accuracy with a greater degree of precision is possibility if you use the previously gathered information properly by applying to the some set of algorithms. For example, if I want to give example in the weather forecasting, usually if you use AI, they have reduced by using the AI, the weather forecasting agency, they have reduced majority of human errors. Then coming to the next advantage of an artificial intelligence is take risks instead of human. This machine itself will take risks instead of the human beings. This is one of the biggest advantage of artificial intelligence. We can overcome many risky limitations of human by developing an AI robot which in turn can do the risky thing for us. Let it be going to Mars, or if I want to defuse a bomb or explore the deepest parts of an ocean, mining for coal and oil, and it can be used effectively in any kinds of natural or man-made disaster if I have an AI-based robots. For example, if I want to quote, have you heard about Chernobyl nuclear power plant explosion in Ukraine? Have you heard about that? At that time, actually, there were no AI-powered robots which can help us to minimize the effect of radiation by controlling the fire in early stages, as many humans went close to the core was dead in a matter of minutes. Actually, they have poured sand and the boron from the helicopter from the mere distance. AI robots can be used in such situations where an human intervention can be hazardous. Next, with respect to the availability, that is, if I have an AA-based system or a service, need not to take break. Without break, this system will work. So no break. The availability is always 24/7. Usually, an average human being will work for 4 to 6 hours a day, excluding the breaks. Humans are built in such a way to get some time out for refreshing themselves and get ready for a new day of work, and they even have weekly off to stay intact with their work life and personal life. But Using AI, we can make our machine to work 24/7 without any breaks, and they do not even get bored, unlike humans. If I want to quote an example, educational institution and the helpline centers are getting many queries and issues which can be handled effectively if you have an AI. Next, the AI will also help to do the repetitive jobs. In our day-to-day work, we will be performing many repetitive works like sending a thanking mail, verifying a certain documents for errors, and many more things. Using artificial intelligence, we can productively automate those routine tasks and can even remove boring tasks for humans and free them up to be make to make more creative. For example, in banks, we often see many verification of documents in order to get a loan, which is a repetitive task for the owner of the bank. Using AI cognitive automation, the owner can speed up the process of verifying the documents, by which both the customers and the owner will be benefited. Next, coming to the digital assistants. Some of the highly advanced organizations use digital assistants to interact with users, which saves the need of human resource. The digital assistant also used in many websites to provide things that user want. We can chat with them about what we are looking for. Some chatbots are designed in such a way that it becomes hard to determine that we are chatting with a chatbot or a human being. If you visit our website, automatically the pop-up window will come. That is one of the example for the digital assistant what we have used in our website. Next, if I want to take any decision very fast, then I can go with an AI. Using AI in the along with the current working style, then or the current technology, we can make machines take decision faster than a human and carry out actions very quickly. While taking a decision, human will analyze many factors. We will think emotional factors and practically, but AI-powered machine works on what is programmed and delivers the results in a faster way. That is based on it never think about the emotional quotient or practically it won't think, just it will give the reply based on the pre-programmed uh, programmed algorithms. Uh, for example, all of us have played HS game in Windows. Most of the time it is very impossible, nearly it is impossible to beat CPU in the hard mode because of the AI behind that game. It will take the best possible step in a very short time according to the algorithm used behind it. This is how fast the machine will work if you have an AI. Next, you can also adopt AI in daily applications. If I want to say or give some example for the daily applications, once again I will quote Cortana, and if I want to say OK Google are frequently used in our daily routine, whether it is for searching a location or taking a selfie or making a phone call, replying to a mail, and so on and so forth. So, uh, coming to the AI in a daily application, if I want to give one simple example, around 20 years ago, when we are planning to go somewhere, we used to ask some person who already went there for the directions or the suggestions. But nowadays, by sitting in front of the system or by using your smartphone, just you will ask the OK Google. Then based on the location, what it will provide through the Google Map, Google Map, you will select the best path between the place where you want to go. Okay. So the next is we can also use AI for the new inventions. AI is powering many inventions in almost every domain, which will help human to solve the majority of complex problems. Recently, doctors are able to predict the diseases at the earlier stage using advanced AI-based technologies. So these are the few major advantages of using an artificial intelligence. So coming to the disadvantages of an AI, every technology has some advantages as well as disadvantages, and the same goes for artificial intelligence. Being so advantageous technology, still it has some disadvantages which we need to keep in our mind while creating an AI system. So these are the few disadvantages of AI, that is high cost. The hardware and software requirement of AI is very costly as it requires lots of maintenance to meet current world requirements. Then it doesn't have the capacity of, it can't think out of the box. That is, it doesn't have that capacity. Always it cannot think out of the box. Even we are making smaller machines with AI, but still they cannot work out of the box, as the robot will only do that work for which they are trained or programmed. Whatever the training it has received or whatever the program we have fed to the system, based on that it will act accordingly. Therefore, it cannot able to think out of the box. That is the major drawback of an AI system. Next, coming to the feelings and emotion. The AI system does not have feelings and emotions. AI machines can be an outstanding performer, but still it does not have the feeling, so it cannot make any kind of emotional attachment with a human and may sometimes be harmful for users if the proper care is not taken. Next, increased dependency on machine. With the increment of technology, people are getting more dependent on devices and hence they are losing their mental capabilities nowadays. If you observe our current generation, most of the current generation students or the kids are depends on the new technology. They are tech savvies. Okay, so no original creativity. As humans are so creative and can imagine some new ideas, but still AI machine cannot beat this power of human intelligence and cannot be creative and imaginative. Too much is too bad ಅಂತಂತಾನೆ. If you are so addicted to the technologies, that is, it is too harmful for our young generation or to the young generation or for us also. So we have to use the technology but in limited way. Okay. So these are the some of the applications as well as the disadvantages of an AI. Hello? Hello? Any doubt here? Before moving on to the next content, do you have any doubt? Please feel free to ask doubts or any questions. Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, madam. Anybody having doubt, they can raise your hands.
Okay. Next, uh, applications of AI. AI is a dynamic tool used across industries for better decision making. And in order to increase efficiency and in order to eliminate repetitive work, we will use AI as a dynamic tool. In this particular slide, we will discuss some of the artificial intelligence applications in the real world, how the artificial intelligence is used in healthcare sector and the other sectors in the real world. Coming to the AI in healthcare, in the last 5 to 10 years, AI become more advantageous for the healthcare industry and going to have a significant impact on this particular industry. Healthcare industries are applying AI to make a better and faster diagnosis than humans. AI can help doctors with diagnosis and can inform when patients are worsening so that medical help can reach to the patient before hospitalization. Deep learning impact which AI has created is within the healthcare space. A device as common as Fitbit or an iWatch from the Apple, it collects lots of data like the sleep patterns of an individual, the calories burned by a particular person, and heart rate, and a lot more, which can help with the early detection, personalization, even for the disease diagnosis. This device, when empowered with AI, can easily monitor and notify abnormal trends of the human being. This can even schedule a visit to the closest doctor by itself, and therefore it also of great help to the doctors who can get help in making decisions and research with AI. It has been used to predict ICU transfers, improve clinical workflows, and even pinpoint a patient risk of hospital-acquired infections. That's about how the AI is used in healthcare sector. Now coming to the automobile industry, at this stage where automobiles changing from an engine with a chassis around it to a software controlled intelligent machine, the role of AI cannot be underestimated. The goal of self-driving cars, during which Autopilot by Tesla has been the front runner, takes up the data from all the Teslas running on the road and uses it in machine learning algorithms. Tesla, basically it is an autopilot, is a suite of advanced driver assistance system with the features offered by Tesla that has lane centering, traffic aware cruise control, self parking, automatic lane changes, semi-autonomous navigation on limited access freeways, and the ability to summon the car from a garage or a parking spot. This is how the AI took is broader and within the automobile sector. Next, coming to the banking and finance. The banking and finance, AI and the finance industry are the best matches for each other. The finance industry is implementing automation, chatbot, adaptive intelligence, algorithm trading, and machine learning into financial process. One of the early adopter of artificial intelligence is the banking and finance industry. So, for example, if I want to consider SBI Intelligent Assistant called SIA, SBI Intelligent Assistant is a chatbot which is aimed at handling customer queries and help guide them through the various retail products and services offered by SBI State Bank of India. If I want to quote one more example, if I take robo-advisors, it is robo-advisor are the digital platform that provide automated algorithm-driven financial planning services with little to no human supervision. Features like AI bot, digital payment advisors, and biometric fraud detection mechanism cause higher quality of service to a wider customer base. Hence, the adoption of AI in banking is constant to rework companies within the industry which provide greater levels of useful and more personalized experience to their customers. And it also reduces the risk as well as increase the opportunities involving financial engines of our modern economy. Next, coming to the application area wherein it is the surveillance or the security AI in data security. AI has made it possible to develop face recognition tools which may be used for surveillance and security purpose. As a result, this empowers the system to monitor the footage in real time and can be path-breaking development in regards to the public safety. Manual monitoring of CCTV camera require constant human intervention, so they are prone to errors and the fatigue. AI-based surveillance is automated and works for 24/7, and it also provides real-time insights. According to a report by the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, a minimum of 75 out of 176 countries are using AI tools for the surveillance purpose. Across the country, 400 million cameras already are placed, and most of the AI cameras are powered by AI technologies. Primarily, most of the cameras are working primarily based on the concept of face recognition. The security in the current digital world, the security of data is also crucial for every company, and cyber attacks are growing very rapidly in the digital world. Therefore, AI can be used to make your data secure and more safe. Some examples such as AEG bot, A12 platform are used to determine software bug and the cyber attacks in a better way. Now we will discuss how the AI is used in social media. Social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat contains billions of user profiles, isn't it? Which need to be stored and managed in a very efficient way. AI can organize and manage massive amounts of data. AI can analyze lots of data to identify the latest trends, hashtags, and requirements of different users. All of us love social media, isn't it? Don't we love the social media? All of us love the social media. Social media is not just a platform for networking and expressing ourselves. It subconsciously shapes our choices, ideologies, and temperament. All this due to the synthetic intelligence tools which work silently within the background, which shows posts that we might like and advertising product that might be useful based on our search and browsing history. For example, recently Instagram revealed how it is begin using AI to customize content for the Explore tab. This helps with social media advertising because of its unprecedented ability to run paid ads to platform users based on highly granular demographic and behavioral gathering. Did you know we also have AI tools that will actually write Facebook and Instagram ads for us? Another huge benefit of AI in social media is that it allows marketers to analyze and track every step that they take. This is how the AI contributes to the social media. Coming to the entertainment, the show business with the arrival of online streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime relies heavily on the info collected by the users. We are currently using some AI-based applications in our daily life with some entertainment services like Netflix and Amazon. With the help of machine learning or the artificial intelligence algorithms, these services shows the recommendation for programs or shows. These recommendation always it will give based upon the previously viewed content. So this is done not only to deliver accurate suggestions but also to create content that would be liked by majority of the viewers. With new content being created every minute, it is very difficult to classify them and making them easier to search. AI tools analyze the contents of videos, video frames, frame by frame, and identify the objects to feature appropriate tags. AI is additionally helping media companies to form strategic decisions also. So the Netflix and the Amazon Prime, such type of entertainment medias or the entertainment sectors will make use of AI for to give the recommendations based on the user interest. The next sector wherein the AI is used is in education system. In the education sector, there are a number of problems which will be solved by the implementation of AI. The few of them being automated, marking software, content retention techniques, and suggesting improvements that are required. This can help the teachers to monitor not just the academic but also the psychological, mental, and physical well-being of the student, but also their all-round development. This would also help in extending the reach of education to areas where quality educators can't present physically. For example, case-based simulations offered by Harvard Graduate School is one such use case. So in the education sector, we can use we can use AI to automate grading, to give automate grading so that the tutor can have more time to teach. AI chatbot can communicate with the student as a teaching assistant. AI is the future, can be work as a personal virtual tutor for student, which will be accessible easily at any time and any space. And AI can also used in astronomy. Artificial intelligence can be very useful to solve complex universe problems too. AI technology can be helpful for understanding the universe, such as how it works and how it origins. AI can be used for gaming purpose. The AI machines can play strategic games like chess, where the machine needs to think of a large number of possible places. Now, we can use the AI for the space exploration. So, AI systems are being developed to scale back the danger of human life that venture into the vast realms of the undiscovered and unraveled universe, which is a very risky task that the astronauts needs to take up. As a result, unmanned space exploration missions, just like the Mars rover, are possible due to the utilization of artificial intelligence. It has helped us to discover numerous exoplanets, stars, galaxies, and more recently, 2 new planets in our very own system. NASA is also working with the AI application for space exploration to avoid space debris without human intervention, and in order to communicate networks for in the most efficient and distortion free if you use AI based device. Next, if I want to discuss the applications with respect to robotics, with increasing developments within the field of AI, robots are become more efficient in performing tasks that earlier were very complex. The idea of complete automation are often realized only with the assistance of AI, where the system can't just perform the specialized task but also monitor and also inspect and improve them without any human intervention. AI in robotics helps the robots to learn the processes and perform the task because perform the task with complete autonomy without any human intervention. This is the this is because robots are designed to perform repetitive tasks with utmost precision and increased speed. AI has been introducing flexibility and learning capabilities in previously rigid applications of robots. These benefits are expected to reinforce the market growth. The last but not the least, that is the AI also used in agricultural sector. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we do one among our most primitive and basic profession, which is farming. The use of AI in agriculture are often attributed to agricultural robots, predictive analysis, and crop and soil monitoring. In addition, drones are also used for spraying insecticides and detecting weed formation in large farms. This is getting to help farms like Blue River Technology better in order to manage the farms in a better way. AI also has enhanced crop production and improved real-time monitoring, and it also helps to improve harvesting, processing, and marketing. Then we have seen the AI in uh, the e-commerce also. This is one of the artificial intelligence application that is found to be widely used. Different departments of e-commerce, including logistics, predicting demands, intelligent market, better personalization, use of chatterbots are being disrupted by AI. The e-commerce industry, a prominent player being Amazon, is one among the primary industries to embrace AI. This may experience a good use of AI with time. So these are all the different sectors where you can use the AI. So to conclude, we have seen AI application in various domains. There are a number of industries which are on the verge of transformation by AI, though this is often in no way to exhaustive list, but probably the foremost plausible ones within the near future. So these are the different applications of area or the applications areas of AI. So before starting the next topic, I want to know any doubts up to this. Hello. Okay. Next, we will discuss about types of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence can be divided in various types. There are mainly 2 types of categorization, which are based on the capabilities, and the second type is based on the functionality provided by an AI. Therefore, this particular diagram shows the two types of artificial intelligence, that is type 1 and the type 2. Under the type 1, we have subcategories like narrow AI, general AI, strong AI. Under the type 2, we have reactive machines, limited memory, theory of mind, and self-awareness, artificial intelligence. Therefore, in the subsequent slide, we will discuss about what do we mean by narrow AI, general AI, strong AI, and the different variations of type 2 artificial intelligence. Coming to the weak AI or narrow AI is a type of AI which is able to perform a dedicated task with intelligence. The most common and currently available AI is, most of them are narrow AI. Narrow AI cannot perform beyond its field or limitations as it is only trained for one specific task. Hence, it is termed as weak AI. This particular type of AI machine or a system can restrict it to a specific task for which it has got trained. Narrow AI can fail in unpredictable ways if it goes beyond its limits. For example, if you take Apple Siri, it is one of the example for the narrow AI. It operates with a limited predefined range of functions. Next, IBM Watson supercomputer also come under narrow AI as it uses an expert system approach combined with machine learning and the natural language processing. Some examples of narrow AI are playing chess, purchasing suggestions on e-commerce site, self-driving cars, speak recognition system, and the image recognition system. These are all the different examples for the narrow AI, which uses narrow AI or the narrow intelligence. Next category of the intelligence is general artificial intelligence. It is a type of intelligence which could perform any intellectual task with the efficiency same as a human, but generally AI to make such a system which could be smarter and think like a human by its own. Actually, the idea and behind the general AI is to make or to design a system which could be smarter and think like a human by its own. But in reality, there is no such system exists which could come under general AI and can perform any task as perfect as a human. The worldwide researchers are now focused on developing machines of type general AI. As systems with general AI are still under research, and it will take lots of effort and time to develop the general AI. Next, we have super AI. It is a level of intelligence of systems at which machine could surpass human intelligence and can perform any task better than human with cognitive properties. It is an outcome of general AI. Some key characteristics of strong AI, which include the capability of or the ability to think, to reason, to solve the problem, make judgment while planning, while learning, and communicate by its own. If the machine or a system has all these capacity or the capability, then such type of AI belongs to the super AI system. It is super AI is still a hypothetical concept of artificial intelligence. Development of such system in real world is still need time. So if I compare the narrow AI with general AI and the super AI, narrow AI dedicated for a specific task for which it has got trained. General AI We are trying to develop a system which acts like a human. Super AI is it is a system or the hypothetical concept what we have in the AA, and we are planning to develop a system which has the intelligent, which has more intelligent than the human. Therefore, under the type 1 artificial intelligence, we can have narrow AI systems, general AI system, and the super AI system. But in today's world, we can come across only the few systems which have the narrow AI, which is designed for a specific task. Coming to the type 2 classification of a artificial intelligence system, basically the type 2 AIs are working based on the functionality what it provides. The first category or the first type of type 2 artificial intelligence is reactive machines. Reactive machines are the most basic types of artificial intelligence. Such AI systems do not store memories or past experience for future actions. These machines only focus on the current scenarios and react on it as per possible best action. For example, if I want to give for the reactive machine, IBM's Deep Blue system, Google's AlphaGo is an example for the reactive machines. Next classification is limited memory. Once again, it is a type 2, it has type 2 intelligence. Limited memory machines can store past experience what the reactive machine does not have, and it also store some data for a short period of time. These machines can use stored data for a limited time period. For example, if I say self-driving cars are one of the best example for limited memory systems. These cars can store recent speed of nearby cars, the distance of other cars, speed limit and other information to navigate the road. The third category of type 2 intelligence is the theory of mind. The theory of mind AI should understand the human emotions, and it should understand the people and their beliefs, and it should be able to interact socially like human. Then such systems are called as theory of mind. This type of AI machines are still not yet developed, but researchers are making lots of effort and improvement for developing such AI machine. The last type of AI machine is self-awareness type 2 AI machine. Self-awareness AI is the future of artificial intelligence. These machines will be super intelligent and will have their own consciousness, sentiment and self-awareness. These machines will be smarter than human mind. Self-awareness, once again, this type of system does not exist in reality still, and it is an hypothetical concept. So these are the different types of artificial intelligence, that is based on the functionality as well as based on the capability. We will have the different types of artificial intelligence. Okay. Next, after discussing these many concepts, we will discuss how positively it affects the world, the technology called artificial intelligence. The day is not far when you will just sit back in your comfort little beds and just command your personal robots to entirely do your ruts. He will be a perfect companion for you. Just enjoy the technology in future. That is our positive future, or the positive impact on us with respect to artificial intelligence. Along with the positivity of the technology, we should also discuss about the negativity or the negative impact on the people. about the artificial intelligence. It may end in other way too. Someday there will be a knock to your doctor. As you open it, you see a large number of robots marching into your house, destroying everything, your uh, everything you own and looting you. This is because ever since there is an advantage in the technology, it attracts antisocial elements too. This is true for robots because now they will have full power to think as human, even as of anti-social element. So think thrice before giving them power of cognition. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation. In its short existence, AI has increased understanding of the nature of intelligence and provided an impressive array of application in a wide range of areas. It has sharpened understanding of human reasoning and the nature of intelligence in general. At the same time, it has revealed the complexity of modeling human reasoning, providing new areas and new rich challenges for the future. Thank you. Any queries? Hello? Hello? Any questions?
Participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Madam, there is no questions.
Okay, sir. Then thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again for all for the principal and all the organizing committee.
Madam,
Thank you
Basaraj will conclude the session.
Okay, sir. Over to you, Basavaraj sir.
Basaraj sir, unmute ಮಾಡಿ. ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಬಸವರಾಜ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ. ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ ಬಸವರಾಜ್ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು.
ಹಲೋ ರಾಜು ಸರ್.
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್.
ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದೆ.
Yes sir, you are audible.
Yeah, with this simply I can define that technology is running the world. Nothing but the social media is what you are having, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram are ruling the world. So with that, the updated of the technology, artificial intelligence, what exactly mean by artificial intelligence, advantages, and even the applications and the future of artificial intelligence was well explained by Madam Rajeshwari ma'am. And on behalf of SIPL and on behalf of students and faculty, I wholeheartedly thank you, ma'am. Thank you for explaining all these things to the students. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Nalini Madam to start the session. Nalini Madam. ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ, ನಳಿನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಡನ್ ಇಟ್.
ನಳಿನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nagendra. I
you,
think my students are ready. Suraj,
Surajಗೆ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾಗೇಂದ್ರ.
No, sir.
you can unmute Suraj. Neeraj. Suraj Paul Singh,
ಸೂರಜ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೀರಜ್.
Neeraj, and Varsha.
Sir, can I leave?
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Suraj, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Neeraj,
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I can't present it. Can I get the permission to present also?
yes. Nagendra, you should give permission to them to present the report.
To whom, madam? To whom?
Ma'am,
Suraj
sir,
Paul,
sir.
Neeraj,
Okay.
ಫಸ್ಟ್
for both
ಸೂರಜ್.
of them.
ಫಸ್ಟ್
Yeah.
ಸೂರಜ್.
Only
Yeah,
Suraj.
only I need the permission. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Only me, sir.
Suraj, you can
Unmute
present
all
now.
the three. Unmute all the three and give the presentation option to Suraj Paul.
Okay.
Ma'am, it's just me and
Varsha, are
Suraj
you
who are
there?
presenting.
Okay,
Oh, only
Varsha is
Suraj.
not giving an introduction.
I'm only gonna do the introduction part, ma'am.
Okay, okay, then fine. Okay, you can start.
ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neeraj Yar from first year CSC branch, and along with me is my partner Suraj Pal Singh, who is also from CSC branch first year. So basically, what we are gonna do today is we're gonna talk and discuss about digital forensics and computer forensics.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, basically, we'll be scratching the surface of computer forensics and digital forensics. We'll be discussing what it is and how can you choose it as a career option or something like that. So, before we do anything, let's begin with a hypothetical situation, a question. Let's say a person A is using my computer system remotely to do some illegal stuff. It could be anything, sending some sort of stealing data from government or something like that, and then it could be anything. It is the illegal stuff in two words. Now, who is to be the blame? Should I be the person whom they should blame? Like it is my computer, so I should be the one whom they should blame. Am I the criminal? Well, it is hard to answer this question right now. But before that, let's understand what cybercrime and cyber criminals are. Neeraj will give insight to this.
Yeah, thank you, Suraj. So basically, cybercrime, it is an act of crime done digitally, like manipulation of data illegally or without the owner's permission, or committing real world crime, to hide it, manipulating digital evidence, and we can say committing online fraud also. Like nowadays, you people might be aware of it, like some unknown stranger calls you and asks bank details, and unknowingly most of us who may have not where we don't have knowledge about it, we're gonna unknowingly give our bank accounts, and this leads to online fraud transaction. So what do we call them? So these people, we basically call them as cyber criminals who commit a cyber crime.
Alright, so let me come back to the same question. Am I to blame? Well, answer for that should be of course not, because I didn't do anything. It's my computer which is being used by another person. So the real culprit is someone else. But I could be framed, but that's a different story. So the real question is, how should I not get framed? How do I avoid that? How do I catch the real culprit? Or how do the investigators catch the real culprit? So to do so, the digital forensics, they say hi. So they use digital forensics to do so. They will investigate the whole thing. They will make sure that the real culprit is found, and in the worst case scenario, at least prove me innocent, like I wasn't wrong and there was someone else who was the real culprit. Now the question might be like, what on earth is even this digital forensics? So Neeraj will give an insight.
Yeah, basically digital forensic, you guys can actually Google it anyways, I'm gonna tell you. So digital forensics, sometimes known as digital forensic science, is a branch of forensic science encompassing the recovery and investigating of material found in digital evidences, often in relation to computer crime.
Okay, so if that wasn't intelligible, I would give a nonsense example. Let's say your father recovering a secret folder that you deleted from your system when you barged into your room the other day. Now, that's called, the secret folder. Okay, that made a lot of sense. So basically, that is digital forensics things only. So Neeraj will explain a little bit more about this thing.
All right, Suraj. Anyways, coming back to this digital forensics thing, it is a method or a way using which we try to gain as much evidence as possible from system using which crime has been committed and sometimes the affected systems too.
All right. So it is more like we'll be focusing on a branch of digital forensics rather than forensics itself, digital forensics, because digital forensics is a vast topic. It includes many other things also, like mobile forensics and all that. So we'll be focusing on computer forensics more. So we can use computer forensics in many ways. Like you can use it as an evidence. Like I would give few examples. Like few examples out of many. In 1980s, there was this case about Joseph Edward Duncan, where he was planning some his crimes on a spreadsheet that were recovered on his system. So investigators, the prosecutors showed this premeditation and secured the death penalty for that fellow. He was given death penalty after that. And another case would be Sharon Lopata's case, where hundred of emails on her computer led investigators to her killer, Robert Glass. So all of this was possible because of digital forensics only. If digital forensics wasn't there, they couldn't have done so. Then I'll stop with this chit chat. Let's get into how we actually do this cool detective like stuff. So Neeraj will get more into this.
Yeah. So basically, computer forensic investigation, it has to follow the standards. There are some standards which have to be followed, like standard digital forensic process or phases, if we can call it as, which are classified as acquisition, examination, analysis, reporting.
Thank you, Neeraj. So basically, what acquisition and all these processes are, acquisition is nothing but making a forensic image of all the data at the hand, all the machines that they gain access to. They make the outlining of it. They dump the data and all that. That is acquisition, making the image for it so that they could analyze it, examine it, and later on so that they can report it to the required authorities and facilities. So more into techniques.
Yeah, techniques. These are actually cool stuff. If we look into it, well, basically what we do here is we do cross drive analysis, live analysis, deleted files, stochastic files, and steganography.
All right. So what this techniques are used to do the stuff that we were doing previously. So what happens is in cross drive analysis, we gain access to multiple drives, storage device, hard disk, or maybe pen drives, and all that. So we analyze those, all the deleted files we analyze. On live analysis, we basically do analysis of live system, the RAM dump, and all that. And stochastic files are the random pseudo random files which are generated by programs and no one really gets to know about them. And there is the most mind boggling thing that it can ever anyone do is steganography. They basically hide the contents that they want to hide in a file, maybe an audio file at the end of it, or maybe an image file. The image will look perfectly fine, a natural scenery, but it might be hiding something more. It might be hiding some sort of criminal photo or maybe something like that, or some sort of spreadsheet. It might be hiding like that. It might be hiding. That is steganography. So using steganography, we try to decrypt those things. And further, more techniques we can also extend to cryptanalysis and cryptography in general. So these kind of things.
So yeah, what about volatile data? It means that actually it's the data that will be lost as soon as the power loses the power. Once you switch off the system, So everything is gonna get erased. So it could be data stored in RAM or data existing in transit. In this case, computer forensic experts dump all memory snapshot on disk.
So basically, what it actually means is volatile data. Of course, it will be lost as soon the computer loses power. So what they will do is jumping the data, but how exactly they dump, I'll show you a glimpse of that. So this is my system, and I will show you what my RAM right now contains. Right now, my on 1.9 gigabyte of RAM is available on my system. So if I do my Yeah, so this is basically what my RAM looks. It is all junk, it's all binary data, nothing looks understandable. But if I try to decode this as numbers, the binary numbers, and more specifically as hexadecimal number, I will decrypt only little bit of it, only first line, a little bit of data because it will be too much long. So this is what it will look. This is what my RAM looks right now. The RAM in the beginning, this is the header of the RAM. So this is how it looks as of now. So this is how they dump. Now, if I want to dump the whole thing, I can simply do something like this. And I can see the RAM dump. It is something like this. So almost 9,400 lines of the data. So that is way too much. So this is how they do. Yeah. So 720K. This is the data dump. So this is how they will deal with the volatile data because it is very important just in case the culprit has left his system running and the investigators wants to investigate this kind of data what he was doing earlier. This is very handy. Most of the time this digital forensics deals with static data and not live data, but sometimes they have to deal with live data also, and this RAM data is basically live data. That live data could be in RAM, maybe in transit, in data bus, PCI circuits, anywhere it could be. So we have to deal with those also, digital forensics.
So analysis tools to this cool stuff, we can find a number of tools anyways. A number of tools there are to do this, but mostly it comes down to the hard way, the manual thing. That is manually recovering data, manual review of data, cracking passwords, checking Windows registries, etc. Autopsy, software, so, coffee, Encase are some tools used often in digital forensics.
All right, so I'll tell some of my personal favorites. Like there is CG Security Organization. They have developed some nice open source tools, namely Test Disk and PhotoRec. You can use these tools to recover the secret folders that you have deleted. Maybe your father can do that. And then there are Hydra tool to guess the password, like weak passwords. And then there is John the Ripper tool to decrypt the password hashes or hashes in general. And we have Wireshark for network traffic interception. We intercept the traffic, incoming or outgoing traffic in a network traffic from a system. And we have Burp Suite also. Burp Suite, it can be used to intercept the traffic as well as manipulate that traffic, the headers or maybe the get. We can manipulate the network requests easily with Burp Suite. Some more I would like to say, like OpenVAS from Greenbone Security Organization, that is also very good. And OWASP organization, they have developed so many tools like these. So about certifications, you will be having, if you want to go for digital forensics as your career, there are many certifications. Neeraj will tell you about these certificates.
Yeah, so the thing is, there are several computer forensic certification available. You can get it anywhere, but such as ISFCE Certified Computer Examiner, Digital Forensic Investigation Professional DFIP, and ISCRB Certified Computer Forensics Examiner. The top vendor independent certification, especially within EU, is considered the CCFP, Certified Cyber Forensics Professional. So now, what actually is vendor independent? So it means that basically it does not. The thing is, vendor independent. It basically does not depend on any companies. So if you go to the companies like Samsung, Dell, and all, it is widely accepted there and almost everywhere. You need not have to depend on one certified certificates and all. So if you go through vendor independent, I think it is more than enough, where it is widely accepted all over the world.
Yeah, right. So this was only a scratch of the surface about digital forensics. There is more into it, and you can literally go in very deep down within digital forensics. You can go into reverse engineering. I would like to show a unique case of reverse engineering that is something like this. So there is this binary. It says its name is unite hash. It doesn't do anything like that. It gives an error because of missing library. So to decrypt it, we can use reverse engineering tools. We can analyze it. Oh wait, we can first know what exactly it is. Yeah. So this is a reverse engineering. We can aramse we can know what exactly this binary might be doing without even executing it. We can get to know about these things. Yeah. So this is how it is. So many functions. This is a binary file. It's an executable. We don't know anything, but there are some entry points where it will start executing. We can uh, we can analyze those functions like this, something like this. We can know that this is assembly code. We will get to know what exactly it is doing. It is calling a main function like this. This is all in digital forensics. This is all common stuff they have to deal with on a daily basis. I can go to that function, this function, and it looks something like this. DBG main one function. So here everything that is happening is it is all happening in this manner. So these are few cases. So I would like to wrap up with this thing now here. So thank you for keeping up with us. And if you have any questions or any queries, you can ask me directly right now.
Yeah.
Students, if you have any doubt, clarification, you can ask your friends. Suraj and Neeraj, they're ready to clarify your doubts.
Yeah, all
Suraj,
questions are welcome. Yes, sir.
no questions, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
Yes,
can
sir. Yes,
conclude
sir.
it, sir.
Yeah, we can
But
conclude.
a nice presentation, Suraj. You have prepared well.
Thank you, sir.
And good presentation for both of you. Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
Neeraj and Suraj, very good homework you have done. It's
Thank you, ma'am.
really a great presentation. For the first time in the induction program, the students are presenting, and this should continue forever. I will give a proposal for you people to prepare another content for the next induction program. Be prepared. We'll give you a chance to present it for your
Sure.
Sure,
junior.
ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
And this
Absolutely.
is how you go
Yeah.
about, and it is also a lesson for others who are all interested in, say, you have your own choice of interest, right?
Yes,
Even
ma'am.
though you are in first year, you have taken up the forensic, computer forensic as your interest, and which is one of the upcoming topic, and we are also interested to know what is exactly happening in this, right? And you people have given an overview of this content. It was really good, and it will also educate others who are literally unknown about the content that you have chosen. So I really thank you, and actually this was the topic we actually wanted to organize as a beyond the syllabus program for first year physics group students. And as it was suddenly because of lockdown, we could not do it. And finally, it was, you got a chance to present at least here. I was happy. Otherwise, it could have been dropped down. And so nice presentation, Suraj and Neeraj. Keep it up. and be prepared for one more presentation next year. And please report me. I'll be providing you an option to present it.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Next year, your audience will be your juniors.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
And this is a nice platform that you come up with your ideas, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
if there are any other students who are still interested in giving such topics which you are interested in, where you are welcome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Suraj and Neeraj, both of you.
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Nalini madam, shall we wind up the session?
Yes, sir. And the timetable, copies of timetable, everything is posted in your WhatsApp group. So you can follow the timetable from tomorrow. Tomorrow there is yoga session in the morning, wind up session. And later, as usual, as per the timetable, the classes will commence. The teachers will be posting their link, I think probably in the group tomorrow, because still the Moodle platform is not separated. So by next week, you may be getting the links through Moodle platform. But the meeting link will be in MS Teams. Okay. Right. Is there any other queries? If there are no queries from the student side, we will wind up, sir.
I hope no questions.
From tomorrow, the classes will commence.
Okay. I think no questions,
one
madam.
more thing, there will be a mentoring session for each and every student in this week. Before Friday, the mentors will send a link, meeting link. So you have to attend this mentoring meeting and give your details, whatever the questions or whatever the queries are there, they'll discuss independently. So you have to attend this mentoring meeting this week before Friday. So it is mandatory for each and every student to attend this mentoring meeting. Give your inputs, whatever the problems that you faced during the induction program or the previously, or if there are any other things to be saturated, you should please report to your respective mentors. Okay, so that is there. Right, sir.
Okay, madam. So it came to end of the induction program, and say in the preparing induction program in the lockdown period, we can't meet any experts or we cannot meet principal physically and all. So still our principal supported very well to do all these events, right? And especially Nalini madam supported with presenting in all session, almost in all the session, right? And technically Nagendra took lot of effort to telecast all these programs, and also Srinidhi sir and some of our colleagues also done as a expert for some events, right? And especially our student group, most of them present for the almost all the event except for yoga. Very few students are joined, right? So anyhow, thank you very much, and join for tomorrow yoga session also. Make it success at least in the last session, right? And thank you everybody who made grand success of this induction program, right? So we'll meet in the
Sir, I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a doubt. I think none
Yes,
of
ma'am.
the students are getting up at before 7 o'clock. That is the reason why the students are not in the yoga session.
Madam, actually, they don't know what is the present pandemic, what is the use of yoga, how to improve immunity power, and how to improve their oxygen level and all. It is very essential, but still they don't know the importance of that, right?
Correct.
So once they gone to some problem, then they will realize, I think. Okay, anyhow, thank you everybody. Thank you one and all. Nalini madam, we will wind up, madam.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Nagendra.
Okay, sir. I
Nagendra,
will end
thank
the
you very
meeting, sir.
much. Especially more strain taken by Nagendra. He guided all of us students and experts and everybody how to join for MS Teams, and he made wonderfully supported everybody. And thank you, Nagendra.
Thank you, sir. It's my duty, sir. No problem.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye to all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm.